Hello, beautiful stars. Courtney here, Stars of Morning Light. And this is a message for June through September of 2025. I decided I did not want to do a June Akashic message for the collective and or zodiac messages. I will be doing a tarot reading for each sign but for June, basically through the next 6 months. So this is June of 2025. We're done with the first 6 months of the year. Whoo, hallelujah, amen, right? Ooh, feels good. And the energies will be shifting. Lucky Stone 888 and I are going to return to our 2025 yearly predictions on June 7th live on his channel, Lucky Stone 888. His channel is in the description below. Please subscribe, enjoy, hit that like button here and there. Thank you, beautiful stars. So, why did I decide to do this? Because energies are shifting greatly. It's lovely. It's a lovely time. And I very much anticipate and hope that all of us go into June with excitement and joy, feeling relieved, ready to take that leap into the great unknown. You know, the thing about the unknown, people are afraid of it. They are. Pretty much all fears stem in many ways of the unknown. So I invite you to remember who you are and explore that memory while experiencing the next 6 months. I had people reach out to me. Um, One in particular, a beloved patron here, um, a few, maybe 2 months ago, and she was asking me about this spinning feeling she kept experiencing, spinning. And at that time, I said, well, we got to rule out physical things. You know, how's your back? How's your neck? How's your body doing? Are you getting enough water? How's your blood sugar, right? Things like that. We have to rule out some stuff. But as she sent that message to me, yeah, about 2 months ago, all of a sudden more people started feeling this spinning. And it wasn't necessarily dizziness or wobbly. It was very much a spinning motion, like a vortex. And I do not use the term vortex a lot. The students here at Stars of Morning Light, they will know I do not use that term lightly because it is a very particular thing. It is a spinning of a spiral motion, right? And that is not usually what's going on. But I began to feel it. Others began to feel it. This spinning vortex motion. Now, my teacher, Master Lady Kira, you can find her at official Shri Kira here on YouTube. She's a great teacher. She was referring to 2025, at the beginning of 2025, as the whirlwind of consciousness. Well, that's kind of what this is, right? That's spinning, a whirlwind of consciousness. And I know that Lucky and I, at the beginning of the year, talked about kind of this unpredictable or lack of being able to predict and foresee and plan, and we have to live one day at a time, right? Because 2025 is this massive transition year. This spin, literally vortex. I do not use that word lightly. I do not. This spin. What is that? What is that? So we're going to address that. We're going to address the next 6 months. We're going to talk about the infinite potentialities of us humans. So stay tuned. Share, subscribe, and let me know you enjoy with hitting that like. Thanks, everybody. So, that vortex feeling. And let me know if you're feeling this as well, right? Please leave a comment below. Here at Stars Morning Light, we track the weather in reference to the shift of the poles. We track how each other are doing. Are we all experiencing the same sort of stuff as in the collective? And many of us are. That's spinning. There's a lot of thoughts and theories out there. And I don't think any one particular one is wrong or fully right? Everyone receives different messages, different awareness as to what is going on. But even Lucky and I at the beginning of the year talked about this massive concept of time shifts, timeline shifts. He spoke greatly, and we're going to return to it on Saturday, June 7th, on his channel at 8 p.m. for Esoteric Tea. He talked greatly at the beginning of the year of seeing it as in, are we being presented with an obstacle or an opportunity, all pertaining to how we view it. And he was seeing all these different timelines that we could bounce, we could shift, we can make all these decisions, and it's kind of like free reign of where we want to be and what's going on and how we want to choose to live life. Well, at the beginning of 2025, for many of us, choices were, hmm, complicated, let's say. Because yes, we were presented with a lot of things. I know great amount of people that were presented with their bodies, exposing to them, hey, something's not right here. That could be from emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. We know our bodies hold so much energy. And so I know many people that their bodies were physically saying, something's not right here. I know a lot of people mental, like that last bit of, oh, I did not release this. I have not healed this. I have to look at it in a whole new light, a whole new angle. Physical, mental. My teacher will talk about that bouncing back and forth. The bouncing back and forth, and in between is the emotional and the spiritual that we must not forget. And so, proudly and gratefully, June opens us up to those emotional and spiritual aspects that we might have forgotten during the first 6 months because we just kept getting bombarded with different things that kept us in the propulsion of, I got to fix this, I got to heal this, I got to do that, I got to do this. And physical does also mean your environment, right? Your little bubble. There might have been a lot of things going on with family matters. So the first half, lots going on, one day at a time. Hard to make choices and decisions on what is being presented because a lot of it was kind of new for people. Lots of awareness coming in, a ton of awareness coming in. So we can reflect back on that. What did we learn? What did we change? What do we need to change, right? Based on the awareness. What do we let go of? What do we release? What do we detach? We're going to be talking a lot about detaching today. So this spinning vortex that was happening for a lot of people in May of 2025. Some people out there were referencing it as we are spinning closer to the grand opening into entering into fifth dimensional consciousness. Fifth dimensional consciousness living experience. A lot of people were talking about that. And uh, some were referencing that we're spinning so fast and so hard to let go and release attachments. And oftentimes, when people hear the word attachments, they think of negative things automatically. We think of negative entities, negative energies, but in all reality of the 3D living experience, everything's an attachment. Everything's an attachment. Your relationships, your property, your food, all the things that sustain you, all the things that you love and enjoy, all the things that you don't. It's all a form of attachment in third dimensional living experience. Same as in five. There's still a grand amount of attachment in fifth dimensional living experience. So as I was listening to a lot of things and getting a lot of input onto what people thought the spinning was, the whirlwind of consciousness, the timelines all shifting, the choice in the matter, the grand awareness funneling in, right? All of these are beautiful, beautiful ideas, beautiful thoughts, and I accept all of them, right? While that vortex was happening, in my humble opinion, it is because our souls made a, I don't know, commitment to oneself, aware of it or not aware of it. Our souls made a commitment to ourselves about 2 years ago, leading into this summer. And everything that has transpired over the past few years, the grand awareness that happened through the pandemic that all of us have lived through, that are watching right now. If you're watching later, oh, bless you. All of us learned a great deal, went through a great deal. Lots of acceptance out of pain, necessities, um, all sorts of potentials. It was such a fascinating time period, and it was all for the development of our soul. So 2 years ago, um, our souls made a commitment to us, our individual selves, to begin to live what Edgar Casey would say is our ideal, to begin to grow spiritually, to begin to let go and release, to prepare us for fifth dimensional living experience if we so choose. And that vortex, that spinning that was happening with many people in 2025. I have friends that it started for them in January. That spinning, that feeling disconnected, but yet spinning. Are we accelerating onward and upward? I do believe so. Energy, once it starts moving, it will go into propulsion. I almost messed that up. Propulsion. And unless something stops it, it's just going to keep going faster and faster and faster and faster. And all timelines, the one you're living in, everybody else's timelines, all of the other yous, all of the timelines are in a spiral. All timelines are in a spiral. Like the old phone cords that would just keep going and going and going. There's not a break. They just keep going. and going, all of our timelines are like that. So all of our conscious awarenesses of of all of the yous, who knows how many versions of you are out there in other dimensional livings, experiences, how many of yous there are, all of them, based on choice, decision, action, cause and effect, all sorts of things. All of yous. This spinning, this spinning, this spinning. To have grand awareness requires for all of those timelines to be integrated within. And so integration was happening. Integration, 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 grand awareness. But energy, once it starts, and it builds, and it builds, and it starts going faster, and faster, and faster, and faster. Propulsion, propulsion, acceleration, acceleration, acceleration. So we're all accelerating into what? Into what? I would say the field of potentialities. That our choices, based on the first 6 months and the 2 years that your soul made a contract with itself and said, hey, I'm going to live out what I needed to live out many, many lives ago, moons ago. I'm going to start doing that. Well, that takes a lot of, yes, shaking things off. It takes a lot of a grand awareness coming in and then making decisions based on that. Releasing and healing what no longer serves. I hear that out of many people's mouths. So acceleration into the infinite potentialities based on any timeline that you so choose to integrate. You can choose to integrate all of them. All of them. Conscious awareness itself. That is the acceleration of awareness. All integrating in. The acceleration of newness. Newness. You know, most people talk about fifth dimensional living. And I do want to emphasize here, I invite everyone to not limit themselves. That's a choice as well. We've, for many a decades now, been talking about 5D, 5D, the age of Aquarius, 5D, right? 5D. And we have been. We've been talking about it for a great long time. A great long time. That it's as if that is the bar, as if that is the final destination. So I invite people to not be in judgment and not limit themselves. Because for me, fifth dimensional living experience is not the final destination. There is no such thing. 5D has its own pitfalls, challenges, issues within. It really does. But I think because we've been talking about it for so many decades, as this is the way, this is the ascension process, this is where we're headed, that we've turned it into this mystical, um, we've given it so much power. It's fascinating. We've given it so much reverence, as if things are going to be so drastically different. and that is the end all be all. That's how it's at least presented. I hear very few people talking about actually becoming any form of master, which requires at least seventh dimensional thinking, living, conscious awareness. I hear very few people talking about that. And it might be because we're just looking for a reprieve from this 3D, density consciousness, which is beautiful and fine. But I once again invite people to not limit themselves to only fifth dimensional living. I very much invite people to not limit themselves. And if we're headed in that, spinning, spinning, the whirlwind of consciousness that needs to be integrated into this body of form to fully accept and be in love and compassion, right? The more we practice compassion, the more we actually operate in fifth dimensional living experience. But once again, that's not the end all be all. I talk about this thing of detachment because you will hear people beginning to talk about that. And I will get into June, July, August, September. I talk about this thing of detachment. I want to remind everyone, at least here at Stars of Morning Light, the viewpoint is Hermetics is wonderful and great to understand how this operating system works, right? It's beautiful and great for that. But I also invite everyone to explore the idea that Hermetics is also very limiting. It's very limiting. It is the system of operations that actually keeps you bounded to the earth, bounded. When in the Akashic reading for 2025, it was stated that humans do have wings. So, I'm not against anyone studying Hermetics. I'm saying please let's not limit us to the understandings of Hermetics. Let us step outside of all that that teaches that we're attached to. Hmm. So when I talk attachments and how some will say that spinning is actually the propulsion to move fast through the releasing, the full healing, the full conscious awareness accepting itself, right? The full self acceptance. It's beautiful. Hermetics also is about attachments. To talk about detaching, well, then that is simply to be. To be. To be present. To be presence. And that is why I brought up the invitation to not limit ourselves to 5D, because that's still a form of judgment. If we're seeing that as like the maybe not even the ultimate, but man, that's where I gotta get. Well, that means that we're judging third. We have a judgment on five, even though it's a good judgment, right? Any judgment, right? So what's the difference between judgment and discernment? Judgment is putting claims, ideals, perspectives onto something for either good or bad, right? For I'm going to stay away from that, or I'm going to bring that into my life as in some form Discernment, though, discernment is that process that we're doing that. That process that we're doing that. So discernment's not necessarily bad. Judgment, not necessarily bad. But it is still very much the 3D and the fifth dimensional living. Discernment's the process. Discernment is the process. So take 5D. There's still a lot in 5D that a lot of people would not particularly want, but they're not aware of it. Because 5D has been judged and spoken about and determined that it is this glorious time. It is, we are all superhuman and love and light is just everywhere. That is not the case. It's not. But it has been presented that way, as if it's a complete different experience from 3D density. That's not the case. But because it's presented that way, we take what is presented, we judge it against 3D density, right? We compare. We compare. And then we put all these good perspectives, notions, ideals onto it because that's how it's presented. And we go, that's what we want. That process there is quote unquote discernment. We do it in all things. We do it in all things. Can we lay down any judgment? Can we even lay down any discernment and just be? Are we capable of that? To just be. Be consciousness itself. To just be. How would that look, right? How would that look in our life from day to day? Don't we have to discern? Don't we have to judge if we drive down this street or drive down the other road? Don't we have to know all this stuff? No, I don't know why we would need to. Seriously, I was just about to say no. I don't know why we would need to. Other than we don't trust. We don't trust. Hmm. Wasn't the first part of 2025 the grand awareness as into do we trust or do we not trust? Ask yourself that. Do we trust or do we not trust? Think back on the past 6 months. Do we trust or do we not trust? Because either the amount that you have a trust, to what degree you have a trust, to the lack of trust that you might have, in lies the need to discern and judge. Because when we trust, in any given moment, we can just be. We can just be present. And over the past couple of years, everything that's been going on. So please, I invited you to look back at the past 6 months. Now I'm saying go back to like August of 2 years ago, right? Go back, go back. Everything that happened. Did you trust? Did you learn trust? Where are you with trust within yourself? And trust works with self to self, self to others, self to the divine. Do you trust yourself? Truly, do you trust yourself? So many people make very quick answers to that. Do you trust yourself to show up for yourself? And that does not mean that you can get the job done. That does not mean that at all. Most of us can get the job done, whatever it is that is presented in front of us. Do you trust yourself to show up for yourself? The love and care that you need, the healing, the relaxation, the work ethic, the creativity. Do you trust yourself to show up for yourself? Self to self first. Okay, self and others. Do you trust others? That is very big. Do you trust others? Not just to show up for you when needed, right? Or to just show up for you regardless of needed or not. Do you trust others to care for you, to listen, to be present? Do you trust others to show up for when you do need things? Do you trust others to live their own lives? Hmm. Do you have the grace and allowance to just let them do as they will do, and you do not have to step in? Do you trust others? That requires laying down a lot of judgment, a lot of judgment, even a lot of discernment, as in, going back and forth comparing. Well, I trusted them back in 1986, or I trusted them back in 2026 or 20, oh 06 or whatever. Um, it would have to require laying that all down. An allowance. And can others trust you? Not just through like deeds. Can they trust you? Usually starts with if you trust yourself. Okay, so do we actually trust others? Trust that they are on their journey and it is how they are going to go about things. And it doesn't have anything to do with you. Okay. Do we trust the divine? Do we trust a higher power of some sort, something outside of ourself, is willing to show up, is willing to listen, is to willing to help? The divine has your back in some way, shape, or form. Do we trust that? I will say, usually because we are earthbound beings trying to work through the 3D density, we tend to lie to ourselves and say that we trust the divine completely, but lack trusting ourself and others. And I will say, if that is in play, then we do not trust the divine completely, because we are the divine, and so are the others. So complete trust. Complete trust. So much has been happening over the past 2 years for this time, for this time right now, June 2025. It's so exciting. So exciting. Yes, so exciting. June 2025. Let's talk about the next few months. So exciting. Are you ready? So we've gotten all this grand awareness. We've been building trust, or at least getting our viewpoint and awareness of where we're at with trust. Our soul made a commitment to itself. It's game on, folks. It's here. It's so exciting. So unbelievably exciting. So this is my metaphor. This is how I'm going to describe things as in the energies of June, July, August, September, so forth, so on, right? This is my metaphor. It's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to talk about a rocket ship because us humans do have wings. So this is a metaphor in so many ways. So, June 2025 is the liftoff, the jump off. If you no longer want to play the judgment, having to discern where's the allowance, where's the trust, oh my goodness, 3D conscious living experience, density, density, density. If you even don't want to limit yourself to just fifth dimensional living experience, seven and above is ready. It's waiting. It's open. It's choice. But let's go with my rocket ship. Y'all have been designing your rocket ship, aware of it or not. This is the metaphor. So you've been designing your rocket ship. And my goodness, when we are putting rocket ships together, every piece needs to be in place. Everything needs to be secure. And we need to trust that this rocket ship is going to get us up, up, up safely, right? And it's our own design. Y'all been doing it, aware of it or not. So, June 2025, somewhere within the month, we get enough courage within us. And it could be out of all sorts of things. Necessity, um, boredom, frustration, whatever it may be. Something in June is going to say, you know what? It's time to blast off. It's time to relieve ourselves of this 3D conscious awareness, living density. Whew, the fog. Remember who you are. I can fly. So we're going to have the courage and the willingness to get into this driver's seat. I'm not really sure what it's called on a rocket ship. We're going to get into a driver's seat of our own rocket ship. And we are going to sit there and we're going to go, it's now or never, and smash that button. And we are going to lift off. Whoa. You want to take that leap? You want to take that leap into a different timeline that suits you better? Do it. You want to take that leap off this ridiculous game board of judgment that apparently we need to win? I don't know who's winning what. It's not a thing. Apparently, everyone thinks so. We're going to smash that go button and we are going to lift off. Now, as many of us all know, because we have witnessed it sometime on TV and we've heard astronauts talk about it, they go through so much to be able to be an astronaut. Guess what July is, beautiful people? July is that if I start shaking, the camera's probably gonna freak. You're holding on for dear life. What is this? You're shaking in your seat. Good thing you strapped yourself in. You're trusting. Is this machine gonna make it? Yes, it is. I can't wait for July. It's gonna be wild. Uh, You're, you want to talk about feeling spinny. You want to talk about feeling accelerated. You want to talk about going, what the hell is happening? Lovely. Into the unknown. Into the unknown. We leap. We fly. We blast off into the unknown. And that unknown will always jerk us some. It'll always move us some. It'll always go, what the heck? Did I make the right decision? I trust, I trust, I trust, I trust. And then August. Okay, we get out of that. We're not shaking anymore. But we're still kind of in our atmosphere. But now we're cruising. We can start to look at the controls again and go, okay, now it's time to do this. Now it's time to do that. Okay, we're cruising, everything's fine. How's my mind? How's my body? How's my emotional and spiritual? Whoa, what a liftoff. But we're still like in our atmosphere when we go, wow, people told us that this was possible. They talk about the infinite potentialities. They talk about these timelines. I'm so grateful I had the courage and willingness to get in the driver's seat and blast off as we're just sitting back watching, going, wow. Hmm. As we're slowly ascending and ascending and ascending out of what we've seen many different images of, but now we're seeing at a very different angle. Many different images of things that we we would have loved to have, that we would love to invite and welcome into our life, but we just felt they were so out of reach. And now we're seeing them close up. And now we go, I guess I am limitless. And when we acknowledge that, we're still going. We're still breaking through our atmosphere. And now we are in orbit. Hmm. September, we are in orbit. Orbit. My beloved teacher for months, especially last summer, because she was preparing eight of us for what what the next few years will need. Um, Throughout that, she kept referencing through the work I was doing with her. Um, Now we were learning to float in water opposed to walk on land. And I know what that references. The living waters, the Akashic records, the field of infinite potentialities, orbit. Now we're just in orbit. And now once we have accepted that we are limitless, that any potentiality that we would love to experience for whatever time frame, for whatever reason, why not? We're in orbit. We could just cruise into that potentiality and cruise right out, cruise back in, cruise out, find new ones, like Star Trek, right? All these different things, all these different experiences. Well, we can do that when we are floating in water opposed to walking on land. When we are in orbit and limitless. The law of instantaneous manifestation. Yeah, it's right there. Create form out of the formless. Yeah, it's right there. Because we're not attached to all the people, places, and things. We're not attached as we used to be. That vortex, that whirlwind of consciousness, that spinning physical and mental, releasing, integrating, coming to accept that we're about to blast off. It's still a choice. It's still a choice. It truly, truly is. But I'd rather be in orbit and not attached to anything so I can experience everything than to be walking back and forth, pacing the runway near my rocket ship, pacing back and forth, questioning if I should or if I shouldn't. I'd rather be in orbit. It's still a choice. That is the energies. So July's gonna be wild. July's, I've been waiting for July. Woo. I can't wait. Because even for me, that's me speaking personally for myself, that can I trust? I love that stuff. That is what life is made out of. I love it. I love the ups, I love the downs, I love the ins, I love the outs, I love the all of it. I love the shaking, I love the stillness. I love everything that is to be experienced. It is so awesome. I can say that though. Why? Because I trust implicitly. Nothing can break my trust. Nothing can. The first 6 months of 2025 tried, and I think it tried with a lot of people. But I think many people, when we look back, will see that it didn't. And it's because our soul made a commitment to itself, and it requires trust first. So, beloveds, that is my metaphor for June, July, August, September, and man, then it's time to be fully detached and choose whatever you want to manifest. Whatever you want to manifest. Be out in orbit. Don't be, you know, walking around doing the 3D density thing. You are limitless. And if you so choose, that's fine as well. It's not like this is the one time that our rocket ships can blast off. There's going to be many times over and over again. So we allow, right? We allow ourselves to be where we are, to be present. To be present, to be, is kind of that sense of being in orbit. You're just present. You're just presence. You're just be. Because of the lack of attachment, right? You know, you've detached now. Because I'm going to explain this if people might not fully get this. When there's that level of detachment, there is nothing else to other than be. Presence. There's nothing else. So if you're out in orbit and you're feeling and you're experiencing the detachment of people, places, and things, and you're exploring all the infinite potentialities within that experience, within the moment of stepping into that potentiality, you're just present, you're be, and then you move on, and then you move on, and then you move on. We actually do this every day. in our 3D conscious awareness density experience. It's called night and day, death and rebirth, seasons. We do it all the time. But because of the density, we don't experience the fullness of being detached because density makes us very attached. Density attaches everything and weighs us down. When I say take flight, be in orbit, and then just experience. Oh, I experienced this. Okay, now I move on. I experienced this. Okay, now I move on. I experienced this. Oh, now I move on. I get to move around wherever I want. I can experience all sorts of things and love that experience. Not even judge that experience. Just be in the experience and then move on to the next experience. How much fun! Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So much fun. I do want to say just a couple of things before I let you go. And do remember, because of this fantastic energy that is available, I will be doing a series of tarot readings for all the zodiac signs for the next 6 months of 2025, opposed to doing Akashic readings in June. I'm sure I'll do those in July. I will do those for you in July. I can't wait for July, man. Oh, it's gonna be so wild. Um, I love it. Just to have what an experience. Okay, cool. Um, I will do those for you in July. June, though, just take all that awareness that's happened. Ask yourself these questions. Do I trust? How am I doing physically and mentally? Am I ready? Am I ready to take the leap? Just allow June to present the experience of all the awareness that came through. And I wrote in my notes, I'm going to read this and I'm going to read one more thing because I didn't really know which way I wanted to go with this message. I wrote down, this is what I wrote down, the vortex spinning. Of course, I needed to cover that because many are going to feel it and experience it. So I wrote acceleration of potentialities, acceleration of awareness, acceleration into newness, right? If we're going to blast off, we got to get a lot of that speed going, the speed of light eventually. Detachment in its finest form is complete acceptance of it is. Please take that in. I wrote it at some point. Detachment in its finest form, body of form, complete integration of the vortex of the conscious awareness itself. Detachment in its finest form is complete acceptance of it is. I'm going to get back to that. And I believe many of you know this. So this is a little tool that you can use through the rest of 2025. Y'all know the Serenity Prayer. Most of you do. Most of you do. I'll read it. The Serenity Prayer. And this is the short version of it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference today. Hmm. So let's look at that for a moment. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Well, I just talked about detachment, right? Detachment in its finest form is the complete acceptance of it is. But take note that that prayer starts with, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. That little bit of serenity, that comes before acceptance. When we acknowledge the trust, when we truly, truly trust within ourself, others, God, that trust brings that serenity. Let me read it different. God, grant me the trust to accept the things I cannot change. Trust and serenity are like brother and sister of one another. And it gives you that peace of mind. You can let go. Serenity. Because trust is there. Full, complete trust. And when trust is there, you can accept all things. I accept you. I accept whatever's happening. I accept the world. I accept this. I accept what is or is not in my sphere. I just trust. Serenity. Peace of mind. Peace of mind. So that needs to be there first. That is in the first line of the prayer. God, grant me the serenity. God, grant me the trust. God, grant me to trust myself. God, grant me to trust others. God, grant me to trust you. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Accept. A complete allowance to be present without judgment, without even the need for discernment of what is right, what is wrong for me and mine. Why would we need that if there's trust? Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I say to accept all things. Because why? Detachment in its finest form. Not detachment in anger. Not even detachment in love. Yes, love all things. Beautiful. But just to be in orbit and not attached. Detachment in its finest form is complete acceptance of it is. Courage to change the things I can. It's up to you if you blast off. And the wisdom to know the difference today. As for all those who are still working through the 3D density, the choices, the decisions, the attachments, the judgments, the mental, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual. Use that wisdom to know the difference between what is mine, what is theirs, what do I allow? Can complete acceptance come in? complete trust come in, definitely use that through July. Definitely. So I'll read it in its entirety one more time. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference today. Detachment in its finest form is complete acceptance of itself. Itself. Oh, conscious awareness itself. Presence itself. Be itself. Itself. There is no separation from anything. There is no such thing as separation. And that is why I keep saying, please invite yourself to not limit yourself. 3D and 5D, there's no separation. 7D, it's all around. There's no separation between you and I. There's no separation. So therefore, there should not be any comparison. So therefore, if we're not comparing, well, then we can lay down the judgment. And if we're not comparing and we're just out in orbit, detached, then we're just experiencing itself. Itself. In full acceptance. Itself. In full expression of itself. In full experience of itself. Absolute no separation. And so if there is no separation, then there is no comparison. 3D, 5D, 7D, 9D, itself. And it's so funny that the things that create the comparing, the judging, the discernment needed, apparently, are all the things that we're attached to. Hmm. Hmm. So, there you go, folks. The next 6 months. This is just a little message. Do as you will. I hope you gain the awareness of full trust within and have the serenity and peace of mind that if you choose to lift off, you will be just fine. Because I am as you are. My teacher has always taught me that. I am as you are. You are as I am. It is as you are. It is as I am. It is as you are. Keep shining, beautiful stars. I'll see you later. Cheers.